as we look at the things that we're toiling to keep alive, it's like you're doing CPR on something that should be DNR. You're pumping, you're trying to breathe life into something that either can't revive or doesn't want to. What are some tells?
For burnout, you're exhausted, you hate your job, you don't like people.
Even yourself.
Yeah, you just when that alarm goes off in the morning, your first thought is, I don't want to go to work. Welcome back to Unapologetic Rabble-Rousers. I'm Doc Shelley.
And I'm Carla Lewis. So let's keep it going, Shellie.
Let's keep it going. Today, we're going to unpack the signs, the fears, the emotional weight of letting go.
Oh, no.
When is it time to walk away?
How many times have people sat? How many times have I sat and contemplated a situation, whether it was work or personal, and sitting there thinking, why? It's not just, I don't want to launch into song about, is this all there is, but really reflecting on, am I stuck? Why am I still here in this situation, in this job, in this relationship? So what's happening?
What is happening? I can remember many, many moons ago wanting to leave my corporate job, and it was fine. I was paid well for what I did, but it was pretty toxic. It was not fun. I was not really getting much joy out of anything. And I stayed because I didn't want to leave my team behind. Then, when stuff got crazy and a bunch of us were let go, every single one of the people on my team that were either asked to stay asked if they would still be working for me. And when they were told no, most of them said, I'll take a package. I don't want to be here if I'm not working for Shelley. And then several of the other ones were like, I only stayed because you were still here. Like, I loved working for you. And I thought, oh my God, like we should have had a conversation, because I was staying because I was trying to protect them from all the BS. And so I, like, Mama Bear in me came out, which is funny because not at all maternal instinct here. But Mama Bear came out and was like, I must protect my little baby cubs.
But that's because you are the kind of leader that everybody wants.
Ugh.
Somebody who cares about the opportunity for every individual to be able to give their best and feel great about it, feel supported in doing it, know that they are going to be guided in a way that serves them while they're serving the greater collective of the company or whatever.
Yeah.
You're the kind of boss everybody wants.
Well, thank you. When I reflected back on that pretty quickly, it was like, man, I stayed about 8 months longer than I should have. And I felt like I did it for the right reasons. But then I'm also thinking, well, had I left, then some of them would have left too. And we all could have been a lot happier sooner.
There's such that uncertainty. It's like you step out. It's time. Okay. When is it time to walk away? When you know it's no longer right to stay, I guess. And but taking that step, there's so much that goes into that. So being able to say, is it time for me to walk away or not? There's not a yes or no answer there, because there's so many layers that go into that.
Yeah. If I think back to that particular situation, and there's been many other times I should have walked away, relationships, friendships, whatever. But I think back on all of those times when I say now, in hindsight, I wish I would have walked away sooner. I have to think back, what am I trying to fix? What am I trying to hold together? What am I trying to make work? And I don't like giving up. So I got my PhD because I thought I could fix the world at Ford Motor Company. Clearly, I never did.
It's a really big world beyond Ford Motor Company, right?
But I'm always trying to fix something, make something better, make it work. And it's hard to walk away when that's not done. And when in fact, it's just getting worse and worse and worse.
Oh, yes.
So I already know it's not right because I'm trying to fix too many things. That should be my trigger. Walk away, sister. But
Mhm.
instead, my brain's like, let's dig in deeper. You can fix these problems. Yeah, I probably could if people actually wanted them to be fixed.
That's so key, Michelle.
Yeah, it only took me 40 years of my career to figure that out,
That yeah, that's okay. I got you beat there, but
or
not by
30 years of
much.
my career.
Yep, okay,
Yeah,
whatever.
whatever.
You still got one, but it's so important as we look at the things that we're toiling to keep alive. It's like you're doing CPR on something that should be DNR,
Hmm.
and being able to recognize that you're putting the effort in, and there are some questions that need to be answered around that. Is there an outcome that is possible and that you can influence? Is it something that you can be able to make that difference, that you're there, you're pumping, you're trying to breathe life into something that either can't revive or doesn't want to, and yet you're doing it because you know that there's goodness. If only, and I'm going to keep on pumping until I can't pump anymore.
I think some of that comes for me, it's loyalty. Like I am loyal to a fault.
Mm.
It's one of my fatal flaws. I am loyal to a fault. I also think a lot of times, like I've invested so much of myself, my time, my energy. So that whole sunk cost fallacy, I've already invested so much, I got to see it through. And what the hell am I seeing through? Nothing, because nobody else gives a crap.
And
Or the other people that give a crap aren't the right people.
or they give a crap for the wrong reason, and even if
Yeah.
you do salvage it,
Exactly.
it's gonna go down the toilet anyway.
Exactly.
So what is it? What is it that keeps us? Is it hope that keeps us going? Is it, like you said, the sunken cost? Oh my
I think
gosh,
there's hope, there's fear of regret, there's guilt, loyalty, the sunk cost fallacy, I think is huge. For me, that's a big one for me. Sometimes we all know people who have associated their identity to their work, to a situation. So if I've tied my identity to this role, it's hard to walk away. And then,
no,
of course, you have those external and internal pressures and expectations that you're putting on yourself and others are putting on you.
yeah, who am I?
Those are like, yeah,
Who
who am
am I
I?
absent of this?
Yeah, exactly.
There,
Exactly.
I haven't checked the statistics lately. It used to be, and I'm talking a couple decades ago anyway, and you probably have much more current information, but that men in particular, when they retired,
Oh, yeah.
there was like 18 months before many of them just, they could not survive not being who they were
Hmm.
when they worked, who the
Hmm.
teams they led, the meetings they attended, the how many but push it forward. It was funny. How many push buttons do you have on your, or how do you have a push button phone or a dial phone? Do you, how thick was the carpet in your office? And just, but the identity, I am what I did, or I
Hmm.
am what I do. And then when I stop doing that, then who am I?
Yeah.
18 months
Yep.
after retirement, a large percentage of those men passed.
Yep. Yeah. I had, when I was at Ford, I worked for this guy. I loved this guy. He was an awesome boss. He's one of the best bosses I've ever had. He retired. He called me every freaking morning, Monday through Friday, 8:30 on the dot. See what I was doing, see what I was working on. I was like, "Do you, you're retired. Like, why are you calling me at 8:30 every single day?" It went on for months. I looked forward to the conversations most of the time, but it was also humorous to me that he literally had no hobbies, no interests, no nothing outside of what he had done for 50 years
Mm.
at the company. And I was like, your wife is going to start to get really angry that you're calling another woman at 8:30 in the morning. He's like, no, I went and played racquetball already. I came home and she left for work. She went back to work full time because he was driving her nuts.
That's another thing.
My dad, 88 years old, 87 years old, and still working. Like, he can't, and he's got hobbies. He's got his cars. He likes to tinker around on stuff. Like, he's got hobbies, but he can't not work. He
Right.
cannot not work. I did my dissertation on post retirement employment
Mm.
because I was so fascinated by retirement. My grandfather retired at 66, 65 or 66, whatever the age was back then. And he golfed every day. He worked on his cars. He was a brilliant innovator. So he was always tinkering on stuff. My uncle, my dad's brother, couldn't wait to retire, be done with the grind of the day to day. And he never wanted to work his way up the corporate ladder. He was like a techno. He also worked at Ford. He was like a technical nine or whatever they were called. Like
Okay.
he was
Yeah.
technically in leadership, but he never wanted to lead teams, which to me, he would have been an amazing leader, just a great influencer, a quiet influencer. But he just had no desire, you know. And then there was my dad just constantly climbing the corporate ladder. And I had friends whose grandparents retired and some with that, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. And they passed away pretty quickly. And then their spouse also passed away fairly quickly.
Mm.
And then others that were like, my dad, I'm never retiring. So it was a fascinating
Mm.
concept for me on how different people react to retirement. So I did my whole dissertation on that. That was probably a long winded story we can chop out because I don't know why I went down that path.
I think it's a very important. It's a very important thing because we take a look at the era I grew up in, and you kind of bridged from that, where yeah, loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
You sell your soul to the company store, and that's not how that phrase goes, but that's why I'm saying it. But it was no, I am here. I am here for the duration. And I
Mm-hmm.
did. I put in my 30 years and I retired at 52. And it wasn't because I was done. It was just time for a new chapter.
You were done there.
I needed to make a Carla kind of difference in the world.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and that just went really interestingly. And continues. The story continues.
And the story continues.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think when we think about it being time to walk away, what are the signs that we should be paying attention to? Because, like I said, I'm loyal to a fault. I'm going to stay. I wish I still worked for companies that had pensions because when I started my career, that was a thing. And I probably would have stayed far longer than I should have, even more longer than I did, a lot longer than I did. But those things went away. So, like, the fact that I still have such huge loyalty is kind of interesting to me and something I will examine. But thinking about when is it time to walk away? I see burnout being just accepted by people. It doesn't reset and you're burnt out and you're just going through the day to day to day. That should be a sign it is time to walk away.
So when you talk about burnout, Michelle, what would be some of those tells that
Oh,
somebody, because in the last episode we talked about being aware of triggers and things. So what are some tells?
for burnout,
Yeah.
you're exhausted, you hate your job, you don't like people.
Even yourself.
Yeah, you just when that alarm goes off in the morning, your first thought is, I don't want to go to work. I
Don't
don't want to
make
do it.
me do it.
I have a friend that will frequently call me on Mondays and Fridays and just go, I don't wanna. I'm like, I know, me either. But you're tired all the time. You're not probably not enjoying other aspects of your life because burnout at work infiltrates every other area of your life. It's exhausting.
And
And
there's
it can take and there's a grieving process you have to go through when you start on the recovery from burnout
and
that we don't really pay any attention to.
what are we grieving? when we begin to recover
Well,
from
because we're going
burnout.
to agree, we're going to leave our job if we're burnt out. We're going to make some changes, and you've got to grieve that you've been loyal to this company. You have had an impact. You have tied your identity to that role, and now
Yes.
you're no longer doing that. And there's a lot of things you have to grieve as you exit and exit the burnout phase.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think dreading it more than you're enjoying it, whatever it is. It could be a relationship, it could be a job, it could be a friendship, it could be something personal, like anything. You dread it more than you're enjoying it. Is it time to walk away? Yeah. Are you compromising your values? For me, that was a big one in my career.
Hmm.
My integrity was challenged on a daily basis, and I was like, F this, I'm out. I left a very high paying job because I was like, nope, you heifers are challenging my integrity every single day, and I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm out. And I just literally handed my badge and walked out. Feeling like you're small, you're playing small, you're shrinking yourself instead of growing is another sign that we should be paying attention to. Or you're staying out of obligation, not because you're aligned with values.
And that obligation can be to things as basic as income.
I stayed for health benefits. Also, an obligation of taking care of my team.
Yeah.
I felt obligated to take, I loved this team that I had,
Hmm.
and I didn't want to leave them to the wolves, so to speak. I was their protector.
And who knew that the entire den was getting ready to be raided?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. And I think we have to pay attention to, we all go through seasons, right? So sometimes work might not be fun, relationships might not be fun. Is that a season? Or is it a hard truth that we really have to examine? Is it time to walk away, or is this just something I need to lean into and get through? I think that becomes a challenge specifically with relationships.
Yes. And so the importance of being able to gain clarity around the answers to some pretty basic questions.
Yeah. And I think, like, when I think about what does walking away really mean? Because I know I've stayed in relationships longer than I should have. I've kept friendships longer than I should have. And I've certainly stayed in jobs longer than I should have. And I think that I equated leaving with failing
Mm.
instead of leaving is choosing me.
Oh, wow. Take that in, folks. Take that in. Is that notion of walking away representative of failure or of courage and strength in honoring yourself
Mm-hmm.
and those around you? Because you can't make a change in your life without it affecting other people. And I think that might be some of the weight that comes along with making a decision about walking away or not, because it's not just you walking away from whatever it is. But think about that. When you are not as important as whatever is the crap that somehow you feel a need to be loyal to and sustain, that's the crap.
Mm-hmm. We can love something or someone and still know it's not right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had a friend who was dating this guy. Everyone loved him. And I remember when she told me that they broke up. And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that." She's, "No, it's a good thing." She's, "I adore him, but we are not good for each other." And I thought, wow, that's so healthy. We were like in our 30s. What a healthy thing. And they've have stayed in touch over the years, and they're friendly with each other. And she was like, there was no big fallout. Like every other relationship she'd ever had was the big fallout, the big breakup, the big drama. And this was just like, you know what? This just isn't right. We're like, you're a good human, I'm a good human, but together we're not so great. So they ended it very amicably, and I thought, wow, that's so mature and how lovely. And then we also have to recognize that sometimes staying is the bigger betrayal of ourselves.
That's the key.
Yeah. There's some powerful stuff in examining when walking away is what you need to do. And I think it's important to remember that walking away isn't quitting, it isn't failure. It's honoring the truth that something, whether it's your job, a relationship, a thing, it's run its course. It's
Yeah.
time to move on.
You're making a choice.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think it's powerful to recognize that that walking away isn't quitting and isn't failure. I think that's where a lot of people get hung up.
So, friends, hear these words. When it's time to walk away, it's not a failure.
Yeah. It's honoring you.
So let's keep that going. I'm Carla Lewis.
I'm Doc Shelley. We'll see you next time. What does walking away really mean? It's important to remember that walking away isn't quitting, it isn't failure. It's honoring the truth that something, whether it's your job, a relationship, a thing, it's run its course.
Yeah.
Time to move on.